Hi, I'm Juliana Meek, and this is my dad, Bill Meek, and we are from the Harmon Meek Gallery in Naples, Florida. We're going to talk about another artist that we've represented since the early 70s, Will Barnet. And Will Barnet's probably one of our most prestigious artists, and we've had the honor of having about 15 exhibitions for him over the years, including his 100th birthday exhibition, which was very special. But Dad, do you want to, you knew him so well and had a good relationship.
Well, the fact that we had so many shows leading up to that point, when I went to the studio in Gramercy Park to select works for his 100th birthday exhibition, I asked him. I said, "Will, I mean, we seem to have done everything that you've ever done in one way or another in prior exhibitions. Is there any stone left unturned?" And he said, "Well, yes, there is one group of works that nobody's ever seen." So he went to his print drawer across the room and he pulled out a portfolio, and inside the portfolio were 20 watercolors. And they were quite different and very colorful, and they were expressionistic. And I said, "This is very different." He said, "Yes, in 1946 and 1947, I was summering in Danbury, and I experimented with what would later become known as abstract expressionism," and he turned away from it. Instead, he went out to Montana and then ended up in Duluth, but he was very much inspired by the American Indian motifs, and this work over here is a newer version, something he did in the early 2000s when he returned to that. But the works from the 50s were based on Indian motifs, so he worked exactly opposite what would become a great movement in art, the New York School of Abstract Expressionism, and he went counter to that. But he did experiment with it, and that was the basis of our show our 100th birthday exhibition for him. And the only other time they were exhibited was when I was asked to curate a show of 8 decades of painting and printmaking at the Boca Raton Museum of Art, and I included 3 of those Danbury series watercolors in that show as well, which was, I think, the largest show ever done of Will Barnet. I know that the Arkansas Art Center, which owns about 90 works of Will Barnet, they did an exhibition with a major catalog, but they had about 90 works. So my show of 95 works beat that. And then there was a very major exhibition at for his 100th birthday at the National Academy of Design in New York, and they did a major catalog, but the show was much smaller, but it had big works. It had major works of this scale and larger. And this is an example of one of his works from his Cubist period of the 1940s. And then this series he started working in the early 60s up until about 2002, when he returned to the Indian space paintings for the last 8 years or so of his life. And really a fascinating artist and a very innovative artist. And the exciting news is that the first book in 35 years will be published in about 2 years, if not sooner, by the Artist Book Foundation. And it will explore all the ways in which he was counter to whatever is popular. When he did this work in the 1940s, American regionalism was king, and he was going counter to what was popular. And in the 1950s, when abstract expressionism was popular, he was doing abstract art, but it was very tight and controlled. And in the 1960s, when pop art, op art, minimalism, photorealism, color field painting, and everything you could think of in the 60s and 70s and 80s, he's doing figurative work. And then in the early 2002 era, when new realism becomes very popular and everyone's doing new types of realism, he returns back to abstract art. So in every way possible, he has gone counter to what was popular at the time. And this is going to eventually be what makes him great. I think that we're very blessed to have an artist of this stature, in our gallery stable, and for as long as we have had him. You know, in the period of time that when he was alive, in the period of time that we represented him, he had 9 different major, I mean, really top flight galleries, and he has one now. The estate has one now, Philip Alexander Gallery, and but over that period of time, we stayed with him when he was moving around to 9 different major galleries, and so he really trusted us and stuck with us through all those years.
Very special.